Hey guys, Happy New Year. Nury Castillo Crawford. I am the CEO and founder of 1010 Publishing. Are you wondering why this gorgeous background is here? I just got back from Hawaii and the Georgia weather is not that nice. So I thought I'd reminisce a little bit about Hawaii. So hopefully that will not distract you very much. I'm actually loving it. So again, Happy New Year. I'm excited about what 2022 is going to look like for us. You may or may not know much about us. This is our third year, so we're about 3 years old, 1010 Publishing. And since its inception, we have had a submission window from March the 1st through August the 1st. So we are excited. We're super busy during submission window. We're a very small press. Like I said, we're pretty novice. So we have to be extra picky about, the manuscripts that we do end up signing contracts with. Obviously, if we were huge, then maybe we would take a lot more. But the ones that we take, we definitely consider family. And as we grow, we definitely encourage the authors. And we're hoping that, I think every press or every publishing house, even big ones, want to secure and connect with authors for the longevity versus one book. I don't think anybody wants to just get an author and like, oh, it's a one book deal. It's more like family, and you want to support them and encourage them and connect with them for the longevity. So whatever step you're in, I hope that you're working on finalizing your manuscript. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. First of all, Tenton Publishing, we're almost 3 years old. We focus on bilingual books. So biliteracy is part of who we are. And almost every press, almost every press and publishing house has either a genre that makes them special or focuses on a genre or genres. And so especially with the smaller ones, I feel like are more specific. The bigger ones have more room and more are able to expand more on certain things. But with our press, and I feel like it's the same with several other small presses, where we can even be more specific, right, on what we want to focus on. So for us, we want to help increase not only the diversity in authors in stories, but also in languages. Believing that languages and culture go hand in hand. And so we want to increase the number of books that reflect, um, our country and the lives that we live. So, and hopefully that will help us grow closer as a community as a whole as well. So that's a little bit about us. Our submission window again is March 1st through August the 1st every single year. And we have all the instructions on what to do, on how we need your manuscript to look like. That's very important on our website at www.1010publishing.com. And so let's talk about a few things that are very general. So not just for Tenton Publishing. I feel like these things are very general for any publishing house that you want to submit to. So I'm going to share with you some tips about, how to get your manuscript ready to submit to a press. So first things first, put it away. Put your manuscript away. You need to stay away from it. You need to, if it's printed, lock it up in a drawer. If it's on the computer, just like put it inside another folder, like just don't look at it. You need to have some time to rest and kind of like part ways from it. And the best way to do it is to hide it and to basically just shut it out of your life for a little while. So I would definitely say a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks at minimum. And then after that time frame is over, then yes, now it's time for you to read your manuscript. You need to read it from the very, very first page to the very last page out loud. So why haven't Like, why would I have to read it out loud? Because if you haven't done this exercise before, you're going to be amazed at what your ear can pick up that perhaps your eyes miss 100%. Because, we get used to, we've read it over and over. And so sometimes our brain like literally glosses over mistakes because I guess your brain knows what you were trying to say and you still didn't say it, but your brain knows. And so you, by inadvertently, you just start missing all these mistakes on typos, clunky dialogue, words that, perhaps spell check didn't catch, and maybe even those long run-on sentences. So these things jump out at you when you start hearing them. And, that voice thing that writing books and classes always talk about is that part of your voice is how your writing sounds. So when you read your manuscripts out loud and you listen to the words you speak, you're going to be able to hear what your voice is. Another important reason is that your books aren't just in writing anymore. Now at Tenton Publishing, we haven't really gotten into this, but we are looking forward to it. A lot of people are into Audible books. I know I personally am. And so listening to the book is as equally as important. And so you want to be able to read the book and let it flow so that when it is on Audible, people will still enjoy the story. So yeah, the next part that I want to talk about, which is probably not easy for most of us, because we're very close and connected to our stories, is that you need to share your manuscript with someone very impartial. So not your mommy or your dad or, husband, wife, nana, papa, whatever, Sunday school teacher, none of that. You need to give it to someone who's not going to be worried that you're going to be upset with them, right? Because we are so close to our manuscript, you're probably not going to love the person immediately after they tell you it's not perfect, but you need to hear it. So that manuscript needs to be read by other people other than people that you love. And if for some reason you can't take that criticism from a beta reader, then you're not ready to be published. That's just the bottom line. So even after going through all of this, everybody's still not going to love your story, right? And that's okay, because there's tons of people and there's tons of stories and everybody will find their match. But you definitely do need someone someone impartial to read your story so that you do see if there are some things that you do need to fix. Number 4, every single genre has a word count that is suggested by publishing houses. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but you need to research. You need to research what the recommended word count is for your genre. And then you need to make sure that you don't supersede that recommendation. Look at your manuscript, number 5, from a perspective of a buyer. So I love the bookstore still. And it could be any kind of bookstore, either any kind. It could be any kind. So you could definitely, think about going back. How did you pick the book that you bought? Well, most of us go through the book cover and you have no choice of that right now. You have no power over that right now. You're not in that lane yet. I'm sure your publisher will give you, the opportunity to provide feedback on the cover that they choose, or they have the graphic designer create for you, or the illustrator. But when you go to the bookstore, I personally do look at the cover, catches my eye, the font. I definitely read the back for the blurb. And then I kind of like skim through it. And if you don't connect, if something doesn't match, like it doesn't flow, this run-on sentences, or you see too many spaces somewhere, like they shouldn't be. I mean, I don't know. There's just like little things. You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it. So, because usually you go to the bookstore. Now I have one son who will leave the bookstore with a pile of books, but I normally just get one or two. So you definitely want to be very mindful of that, because you cannot control the outside, perhaps the font, etc. But you can control what's in writing. You can control what's inside the book. And as we know, that takes seconds for someone to decide whether to get the book or not. But you are the author, so you absolutely have a say on how your words look on the page. So make sure that you are mindful of that. The next tip that I have for you is make sure that your manuscript is formatted correctly. Don't put a lot, like don't bold, italicized things in your book. Make sure they're just indented. Don't add a lot of different, different fonts, no, just make it, either Courier or Times Roman, whatever your publisher or the publisher wants. Just make it very, across the board, so that they don't spend time trying to reformat it so that it's an easy read for them. So just follow the guidelines of the publisher so that it can help you. And I think that that is definitely one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you. Obviously, you need to follow the timeframes that they've provided for you so that you're not late. And a lot of publishing houses do send rejection letters, but some don't, right? They're inundated. We historically have not, to be honest with you, sent rejection letters, but we want to start because rejection letters take time, because I feel like if you're going to send a rejection letter, you need to share a tip or like some advice, like this story is great, but you should have this, or you could have blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. Not just like, hey, thanks for submitting and thinking of us. Have a great life. I mean, that doesn't help you. And up to this point, that's pretty much all we had time for. So I didn't want to do that to people. But I feel like moving on, I would like to try to do individualized rejection letters and have our editors spend some time in maybe helping our community of writers have some feedback and perhaps a platform of where to launch moving forward. But regardless, remember, and I always say this, just because one press does not accept you doesn't mean it's the end of the road. You can query many of them, and there's tons of small presses right now out there that have different or varied requirements to submit versus the traditional large publishing houses. And you submit to who you want to submit. If your dream is to go through a large publishing house, then you shouldn't stop. You shouldn't think less of your writing, right? You do what you need to do to make your writing come to life. But anyway, that is all. Again, March 1st through the August 1st, we do have our submission window. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you connecting with us. And we wish you an amazing new year. Continue to write every single day. And of course, read, because reading and writing go hand in hand. All right. Bye.